Hi guys, this is Paul again. I've got another new video to show you and I'm calling this Quad Step 288 A-Form DNA. In my last video I showed how quad step strings could turn into dual helix of B-Form DNA. And as you can see in this animation I'm showing, is that quad step 288 makes a perfect arrangement of rungs for B-type DNA. But I guess this discovery of three-dimensional order got no interest from intellectuals around the world. I only got a couple of views. Anyway, let's take a look at this in the top view. And you can see in front that the quad step string of balls produce 1/2 of the 10 rungs of BDNA 36 degrees apart. Okay, I think it's plain to see that quad step 288 does a fine job with B-form or B-type DNA. So now the next big job is can we do A-type DNA as well? Well, the answer is with quad step, yes we can. Okay, in front I'm showing you a string of 48 balls and it's forming a circle. Okay, when we finish the circle we'll hold it there. Now if you look in front, we have 4 angles, 37.5 degrees, 230 degrees and another 37.5. Now this is exactly like quad step arrangement. Because in quad step you get 5 balls, colored balls, and you got 4 angles in between, and that's a group. In my earlier videos on YouTube I done a lot of research on this and I showed the slope angles and stuff for ADNA, and it was coming out of the dodeca. So let's take a look at some of this stuff. Now in front I'm showing a dodeca in the front view and I'm showing the rings, the quad step rings, 48 ball rings. And there are 5 layers of rings, a stack of 5. Now if you look at the geometry, you can see that the balls are lining up with the vertices and the midpoints of the edges of the geometry of the dodeca. Now if you look at the sequence, the red, yellow, purple, cyan, red goes in slopes or horizontal in a perfect sequence. Okay, now I'm going to show you this in the top view. And it's easy for anybody to see that the quad step system of balls align perfectly to the 3D geometry of the dodeca. Now if you divide 360 by 48 balls, you get 7.5 degrees. So the gap between 4 balls are 30 degrees and the gap between 5 balls is 37.5 degrees. But I guess none of this stuff is taught in schools because it's classed as sacred geometry and it's banned from being taught. I think this was just made up by the professors who didn't want to get into 3D geometry because a math forum called it trivial geometry that only a crank understands. Okay, let's get back to this trivial geometry and I'm going to show this in the front view. Okay, what you're looking at in front is just 1/2 of the dual helix. Now I show the diameter as 23 and I showed the pitch as 28. This is what I find in the book. The book says that the axial rise is 2.6, but if you study this geometry, there are 2 angles, so the axial rise is 2 different lengths. Maybe some scholar can look into this one day. Okay, now we can move on and work on the dual helix. Now this is better to start in the top view and you can see the both strings going together to make the dual helix. Now look at the back string and the front string. They are connected by the diameter or the 2 first rungs. I'm wondering, does this diameter make the string a continuous quad step geometry? I think this is another thing to look into. Okay, now we can turn it into the dual helix. What is happening is that we are making a spiral, two spirals. This can be shown better in the front view. Let's take a look. I think it shows simple enough for anybody to understand. If you look at the rungs on this dual helix, they are showing horizontal. In my previous videos, I showed that the rungs slope could come from the slope of the icosa, the natural slope of the icosa or dodeca. After doing a bit of studying, I realized that it is normal. It's just like a folding deck chair. I had similar results on the BDNA also, so this is normal. Okay, now I'll show you this rotating in the front view. I think what I've shown in this video on the geometry of ADNA is something that shouldn't be snubbed, just because it contradicts the theory of chaos. Well, anyways, that's enough 3D order for today. So this is Paul saying thank you very much for watching my video.